from the vault, high atop the pastoral center of the Diocese of Camden, you're listening to Talking Catholic.
Hey everybody, this is Pete Sanchez on Talking Catholic. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's a beautiful October day here. I'm here with Mike Walsh.
Hey Pete, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just said it was beautiful, not because of the weather, Mike, because of a lot of stuff. It's a great day. God is good.
Hey, listen, I can't argue with any of that. God is good. Very good.
I feel like we're getting ready for the Joy of the Gospel Conference in March. I'm feeling that joy in my heart.
That's good.
It's a great.
All I'm feeling is anxiety as I struggle to put it together. Not struggle. So I endeavor to put it together.
Oh, Mike. Well,
with a large group of people, not just me.
You mean put the thing in March together. I thought you meant put it as a concept together? Yeah, like a nebulous concept.
Well, as with all events, they are nebulous until they're over, and then they're done. But no, it's good. I'm looking forward to that.
All the best, Mike. We
Thanks.
very much look forward to that. But that's coming up in March.
Mm-hmm.
We got some events coming up sooner than that. This weekend, Mike, last week we had the evening of prayer for the victims of abuse and reparation for the sins of the church in Blackwood. And this weekend we're having them at the six deaneries. It's going to be lay faithful, clergy, religious are invited to come out to this evening prayer service held this October 5th, Friday, in St. Joseph the Worker in Haddonfield, Church of the Incarnation in Mantua, Christ the Good Shepherd in Vineland, Our Lady Star of the Sea in Cape May, St. Catherine Drexel in Egg Harbor Township, St. Andrew the Apostle in Gibbsboro. These will all be held at 7 p.m., so if you can make one of these, great. Come on out. This, of course, this is going to be following what's been going on in the church and just in time to pray, to join with the clergy, basically an evening penitential act in humble prayer for those who have been hurt by the church and its leaders. This is an important event, so come on out with the church community of South Jersey to these places. All of this info can be found on CamdenDiocese.org, as all these news bits can be found as well.
Yeah. And just to be full disclosure, we are recording this actually on the afternoon before the first of the services with Bishop Sullivan on the 28th. So we're I know some of the specifics of how the prayer service will go, and I'm very interested in seeing it. And I certainly hope by the time people listen to this next week, it'll have been successful and spiritually engaging, and helping us to align our spirituality with the protections that we need to be providing and the oversight that we need to be providing to make sure that our parishes and our schools and our ministries are at all times protecting those that we serve and those that we work with. So I am looking forward to what will at this point have been last week, and then I will be going. I think I'm going to St. Catherine Drexel in Egg Harbor Township on Friday night to see that one. And it will be. I have found out that the services will be using the exact same format. So what happened on the 28th will be replicated on the 5th.
Yeah, I'll be the one in St. Andrews in Gibbsboro.
Yeah. So.
It is important, and I realized I said it was a beautiful October day, but we're still recording this in September, so my apologies for lying to the Catholic faithful when I said it was, because it's not October yet, but when this drops, it will be October. Wow, I just sound like a musical artist that we're going to drop this.
Mm-hmm.
Like the albums drop, this is going to drop. So,
mm-hmm.
But then coming up, also this weekend in Wildwood is the Catholic Renewal Weekend with the theme, Behold, I Make All Things New. So come on out in the spirit of praise and worship to the Wildwood Convention Center Friday, October 5th to Sunday, October 7th. The MC is Father Rene Canales, and guest speakers for the weekend will be Father Ariel Hernandez and Father Jim Blount. Society of the Lady of the Most Holy Trinity, SOLT. And it's $40 in advance, $50 at the door for youth. If you want to bring a youth or youth group, it's $25 for the first youth, and after that, any additional youth is $20. For more information about this event, Camden Diocese CatholicRenewal.com. And then, Mike, we got the Life Chain. This is Respect Life Month. It's coming up. October is Respect Life Month, and we got.
See, that's the problem. You're such an honest guy that it's impossible for you to fake your way through anything. I like that. That's good. That's a noble thing that we shouldn't even try to fake these pre-recorded episodes.
I apologize for trying to fake it.
That's all right.
At the beginning,
but it's good. It's fail at the things you're terrible at. That's fine.
You know what's that phrase? Fake it until you make it.
Well, in this case, don't feel the need to.
No,
it's okay to announce it. People are not shocked that things are recorded early.
We're getting real, Mike.
Back in the day, movies were done a year before that or more often that they actually came out because the editing took so long. But now we're used to a movie being completed 6 months or mere months before it actually rolls out. I heard that they were just redoing some shots on Avengers 4 that will be coming out in a mere 6 months from now.
That's crazy. I mean, it's with the news cycle today, everything like you hear about movies at all stages. Like, oh, guys writing the script. Oh, now they got a director. Now they got a star. Oh, they just started first day of shooting. Oh, they started post-production. Like,
oh, listen, I just saw the trailer for Captain Marvel, and I love it. I think it's outstanding. I cannot wait to go see that movie in February or March.
Yeah, it's a machine. And now they started this week was premiere week for all the TV shows. I think there's one called Friended by God.
I am not familiar with that.
I forget what channel it's on. It's an interesting concept from the trailer. It looks like this. It looks like this guy has a random. It's on Facebook, I guess, and he's friended by God. God has sent him a friend request, and it's like what? And then all the stuff that happens, how God is going to use him to affect the lives of others. So it's interesting, but it's contemporary, though. Jesus and God want a relationship with us.
Sure.
And when we develop that relationship, we can transform our lives and transform others' lives. So I'm excited. That's going to be next week. But Mike,
interesting. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I think it's friended by God. But we got coming up October 7th is Respect Life Sunday. And there's going to be different events going on. There is going to be a life chain that day in all 6 counties of the diocese. So this information can be found on camdendiocese.org. The life chain basically come up and stand for life and pray as the, to help the Office of Life and Justice Ministries in the diocese and the faithful promote a consistent ethic of life. Because what we say, it's all rooted in Scripture and tradition. As Catholics, we're called to be leaven for transforming people in society and realizing the God-given dignity of all people from conception to natural death. So more information, you can call 856-583-2910 for that info. And this next item, if you haven't listened to the podcast with Father Joseph Byerly, take a listen because we spoke about the Marian pilgrimage coming up on Saturday, October 13th in Washington, D.C. at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception.
We discussed that with Father Joe Byerly? I thought that was with Father Jim Bartoloma.
JB. Yes. I have
it's
the JB.
It's funny that you would conflate those two. I don't know how they would feel about that. They're friendly. So
Father Joe Byerly's been... as things will become clear, we're talking about Father Joe Byerly just a little bit ago. But no, it was Father James Bartoloma. I'm so sorry, Father Bartoloma.
I really don't know which one you need to apologize to more, but that's okay.
I apologize to both of them. So we talked to Father James Bartoloma. We talked to both of them. But the Marian pilgrimage we talked about with Father James Bartoloma, Chancellor of the Diocese.
And I'm sure Father Joe Byerly is a supporter of it.
I think so. He might be there. I don't know. Join the Diocese of Camden for this. It's a day where they can come, and Bishop Dennis Sullivan is going to celebrate Mass. There's going to be time for confession, adoration. You can go to the bookshop, the gift shop, tour, and the new Mosaic Trinity Dome, which they just put up. It's beautiful. So come and send prayers, intercessory prayers to Our Lady, who is the patroness of not only the Diocese of Camden, but the patroness of the United States of America. It's going to be a beautiful day. This has been going on for many years. It goes on every 2 years. I will be there.
I will not, but by all means, if you're there and you see Pete Sanchez, go up, give him a hug, tell him what a great job he's doing on the podcast, how great his articles are in the Catholic Star Herald. I think we need to show Pete some love when we're on site. Oh, and speaking of showing people some love, don't forget, at some point we need to finish our planning for the 100th episode of the podcast.
Yes.
Because we are a mere, let's say this is the 87th podcast, so we only have 13 podcasts to go before we hit 100. It would be good if we had a plan.
Failing. What is it? Planning to fail. Failing to plan is planning to fail.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. So so come on out Saturday, October 13th. All things exciting at the Basilica. There'll be buses. You can call your parish office, see if they're having a bus. They probably are. Or call 856-939-1769 and say hello to me and say, talk about show your love for Talking Catholic and for the Catholic Star Herald and for
Mary.
The good work that Mike's doing. So
just you. Okay.
And then Mike.
One more?
Well, can we talk about Man Up on November 10th?
I think we should.
I think, yeah.
Otherwise, there'd be some very angry men that would be mad at me if we didn't talk about it, who are helping to promote and put together this conference.
Well, then we do want to keep you in the good graces.
Yes, please.
If only to keep you here every week, because it would fall apart. It's a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
So this Man Up Men's Spirituality Conference, it's coming up November 10th at the Conference Center at Paul VI High School in Haddonfield. You can register today. It's really, Mike. You were at one in Philadelphia last year, right?
I was, yeah. Man Up Philly. That was the 10th anniversary event.
And is this going to be a day of conferences and speakers and just kind of coming together?
It's a really unique. For me, it was the most unique Catholic event I'd ever been to. In that it was all men. It was around, I don't know, depending on whose numbers you were using, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 men there. And it's the first time I've ever really been around such a focused, spiritually themed event just to help men figure out how to embrace their spirituality in a public way. Oftentimes we've talked about this a lot on the podcast, is how our interpersonal relationships can affect our spirituality. And we've talked about the important things we can do from going on retreats and going on pilgrimages and going to Mass and praying and whatnot. But these public examples of coming together and joyfully and collectively helping other men to come closer to God is a rarity, and I've commented on this a couple of times that in today's culture, men being open to their spiritual nature is something that is not necessarily supported or encouraged, and particularly in secular life, but that bleeds into spiritual life as well. So giving men an opportunity to really break down those spiritual walls, to come in, to go to a safe place where you're going to be with like-minded fellows who are either very comfortable in their spirituality or very willing to help you become publicly comfortable with your spirituality. I think that really does make a difference in people's lives. And I was amazed sitting there just how many people were notably affected by the presentations they saw. I mean, it was strange for me to be in an event where I heard audible gasps of people reacting to what they heard on this from this place, from these speakers. So it was really, really impressive. It was great.
It sounds like that's an opportunity that it could happen here in South Jersey. You could get the transformative power.
Yeah.
Here. So I'm looking forward to it. It's a Saturday, right? November 10th?
Yes.
So you can register. Go to www.manupsouthjersey.com. Right? .com. It isn't also .org.
It's both .com and .org.
Okay.
We like to hedge our bets.
Register. Yeah, good. So manupsouthjersey.com or .org, November 10th in Haddonfield, New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And Mike, we have a wonderful guest here.
Yes, I'm very excited. I just found out how to properly pronounce our guest's organization, so that's even more important. I won't screw it up. Can you pronounce it properly?
Collegium?
Yes.
Not Collegium.
I've even heard a hard G, as a matter of fact. Collegium.
Collegium?
I heard, yeah, but I'm sticking with Collegium. But come on, let's give her a proper intro before we make fun of this stuff.
We have the director of the of the Collegium Center for Faith and Culture, Brenda Quinn. Brenda, how are you?
Good, Pete. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today. How are things going at the Collegium? You've had. Can you just explain what is a Collegium Center?
All right. So the Collegium Center was founded by Father Tim Byerly. It actually started out as, I think, the oratory way before I was part of it. And then the name was changed to the Collegium Center for Faith and Culture. And it was inactive for a number of years. And in 2014, Father Tim called me up and asked me to meet him somewhere. He just gave me the address. And I was driving, so my daughter wrote down the address. I knew nothing. I just had to wait until I got there. And showed up at this building that was, on the outside, it was pretty much overgrown. I was like, what is this place? And walked inside, and the inside was done very nicely. That was all redone. And he doesn't tell me anything except to give me a tour of the place. And then after the tour, he's like, sit down. He's like, I hear you want to do something with evangelization. You can take this over. You can have it if you promise to do some evangelization with it. And it was just like, what?
Wow.
So that was the beginning. And we spent the rest of July and August getting the place ready and had our grand opening in September 8th of 2014. But it's really designed as a place for adult faith, so we can share the faith, right? How are people supposed to share the faith with their kids if they don't really understand it themselves? But it also is a place that is very beautiful on the inside, and we're trying to spruce it up more on the outside so that people who may feel uncomfortable going to a church setting will come with their friends to an event at our place and be introduced to the faith as well. So we have a lot of different presentations, a lot of different events there to try to meet the needs of a variety of audiences.
And Brenda, it was really nice. I had the privilege to be there at the opening. And it was really just nice. And you were talking about the adults, but you also seem to get a good young adult contingent that comes to these, and that's really been great to see.
Right. When Father Tim first founded it, it was designated pretty much only for young adults. Now, I teach at a college, so I consider young adults. So I sometimes forget to make the distinction between young adults and just adult in general. But you're right. We try to encourage as many young adults to come as possible, and we generally get a fair showing, so that's good.
And you have an event about. You're pretty consistent. You have one probably at least once a month.
We have several a month. Yes. Yeah. For a while, we were having one every week, and now we have generally at least two a month. And then we have other things like the book club and things like that may go on a regular basis, weekly. We have different presentations from Ascension Press that we've had over the years that go weekly as well.
You've had a good variety of speakers and topics. I just was there covering an event, Father Robert Hughes, the Vicar General, who we've had on the show, talking about pilgrimages. He was talking about finding ourselves in the Most Holy Trinity. And beautiful, very, for me, I consider myself, I don't mean to be snobbish, but, I think a lot about the intellectual life of the Catholic Church.
Right.
And this place, the Collegium Center for Faith and Culture, is so good for that, because you can get a talk from Father Hughes on the Trinity. You can get a talk from Father James King talking about teaching the Jesus Prayer in the Orthodox religion, and just that kind of. And there's Christmas parties, and it's really such a nice spiritual atmosphere of. It's dialogue, which is what I enjoy. I love talking about, and sometimes the question and answer is, it's just the best part of the evening.
Right,
because
exactly.
you get so many insights. And is this how how do you see what have you had that you what have been some of your favorite?
Some of my favorites. There's been so many that I really love, and one of our mutual friends, George, he teases me. He's like, Brenda, you say that one's your favorite. You say all of them are your favorite.
Yeah.
But Father Dermot Roach is a priest who speaks on divine mercy, and he came down, and before he spoke, he said, Brenda, my limit for speaking is 45 minutes because people's attention spans don't go beyond that. He goes, so I'll speak for 45 minutes, and then we'll take a break for coffee and refreshments. We always have food and different drinks there, right? And then we'll come back for a question and answer. And we started at 7 o'clock, and the next thing we knew, it was 10 o'clock, and no one was ready for him to finish speaking. We were everyone, and the room was packed, and yet not a single person left, and everybody was so into his talk and wanted him to just stay and keep speaking. So that one was an amazing one. And then Father John Picnic came, and he did one on confession during the Year of Mercy.
I think I was there for that.
It was so beautiful, Pete. After his presentation, he offered the sacrament of confession in a back corner room, and we had advertised that would occur. People came who had been away from confession for 30, 40 years. They came in, looking heavy and walking out as if they were walking on cloud nine. I mean, there were tears, there was laughter. It was so beautiful. And he was there for hours hearing confession after his presentation, but it was absolutely amazing.
The power of, and you not only have, it's a beautiful space right up. It's right, if you know, it's in Haddon Heights. It's basically right off 295.
Mm-hmm.
It's right, you can easily get to it. It's on the White Horse Pike.
Yes.
And one of the things I love, Brenda, is you have the big space, the meeting space, but you have a little side room where people can pick up DVDs, rosaries, scapulars, a little, to take back with them.
Right.
Just to help them on their spiritual journey.
Exactly. We have the tracts and the CDs and medals, and it's all free. We get the donations of it, and we encourage people to take it and share it with their families and friends, listen to it in the car. And the topics, there's a great variety there between apologetics and just things that really increase your own spiritual life, learning new prayers, new devotions, just understanding the Bible in greater detail and Jesus' love for us and the church and the whole bit. And we've started an apostolate from the Collegium where we're going out to the parks and to the mall and actually handing out rosaries and speaking to people about the faith and the church and taking prayer requests and things like that. And that's also been a beautiful addition to what we've been doing.
Wow. It's kind of, that sounds, in a few years ago, you had this guy, Adam Jank, talk about street evangelization.
Exactly.
And I guess that's kind of, was that kind of the genesis of what you're doing now?
Right, exactly. I had, in prayer, I kept hearing street evangelization. It's kind of funny because I was like, okay, God, you know that I am such an introvert. You know that there is no way I can go up to people on the street and just start talking to them about the faith. And, I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I'm doing what I can. And it kept coming to me in prayer. And I actually went over to the chapel at St. Rose and ran into Peter Gallagher and John March. And both of them had talked about doing street evangelization. And I don't even know if I spoke to John about, what I was hearing in prayer. And he told me their plan and that they needed someone to go with them. And that kind of started this whole idea. And then I guess John gave me materials on St. Paul street evangelization. And like a week later, I go into the Collegium, and Father Tim had dropped off something for St. Paul street evangelization. Oh, so it's kind of like, okay, God, I get the message.
Yeah, I mean, it's all how he works.
Exactly. So we contacted Adam, and he came for training, and that was incredible.
He was such, and I have his book that they wrote. I think it's a few accounts from different, each chapter is written by somebody different.
Okay, good.
And it's all testimony to some of the people who've been affected and also the people who go out and do it. And you also have I'm a big book nerd, book lover, bibliophile. So you have a beautiful spiritual library there.
Yes.
Speak a bit about that. How I was there helping to kind of sorting stuff earlier, but you've expanded it. I mean, it's a lot bigger now. And what kind of books do you have there?
We have the library organized. We have a whole wall dedicated just to the saints. So, oh goodness, how many, like 15 shelves of books just for the saints. And then we have the church fathers. It's another wall, even though many of them are saints as well, right? Church history. We have books on spirituality. We have, G.K. Chesterton and C.S. Lewis, and books on the sacraments. We have books on marriage and, family life and things like that. Apologetics, Frank Sheed. I love Frank Sheed, and we have a whole section on theology. And he's the primary author of that book on that shelf. But yeah, so we have a wide variety of books, and it's definitely not utilized as much as I would like to see it utilized. Because a lot of people come for the presentations and the events and then forget to go upstairs. But every once, most events now we have 2 or 3 people going upstairs to the library and checking out some books after the event. So it's getting more use.
That's good to, and I feel like there's so much hunger for something like this. For me, I think there are a lot of people hungry for this type of atmosphere. I don't know if there's anything really like it in this diocese.
No, in our diocese, it's the only place. As a matter of fact, I'm on different forums for evangelization, and it seems to be very rare across the United States to have anything like this. They have something like this in Philadelphia, but in general, it's not something that's very common. Father Tim, I think, was very brilliant in coming up with this idea and opening it in the first place.
Yeah, I think. And what was so? Just take us back for a bit. What is your background? Are you from this area originally?
I'm from Western Pennsylvania, and went to grad school down in Tennessee, and then moved up to actually Delaware when I got a job in New Jersey teaching chemistry and biology. So definitely not a theology background, right? No. I always feel like science leads you to God, though. It's like, how can you look at all the science and not believe that, someone was behind creating all of it? But I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. I was one of 3 Catholics in my graduating class, so I definitely was not from a Catholic area. But my second grade CCD teacher was a convert who was on fire. And you would have loved her, Pete, because she, shared all her secret recipes with me. She sent me care packages when I was in college. She really became like a grandmother, to me. She asked me to come back and help her teach CCD when I was in high school. And I don't know, I always found that God was always with me, through my young years and going up through high school. Growing up in my, little teeny tiny one light town, was transferred and became the priest in the town where the college was that I went to. So I didn't get to see a variety of priests. It was the same priest all growing up and through college life. So it wasn't until I moved away from college that I finally got to see, the wider world of Catholicism.
Yeah, you see, I think I had that experience too. In college, I got to go to one of the things I did, Project Appalachia. I was in Kentucky for a week, and that was kind of that opened the Catholic world to me.
Oh, good.
And helping service and going to masses and knowing priests. That's such a gift to really understand the universality. And now I've known you for about 10 years now, and you're active in so many. You're not only just active in the Collegium Center, you're active in, your faith has just led you to so many, and it seems like everybody knows you. Like, you're very visible. You've done, we're talking here, this will record during Respect Life Sunday, and you've done a lot with the pro-life movement, I understand, right? What kind of...
Yes, Pete. I'm always amazed by what God does in our lives, especially when we just say, okay, God, guide me, tell me what you want me to do, and he just kind of opens these doors. And growing up, my dad was very pro-life, and he was very secretive about it. He actually would pay for a bus to go to the March for Life, but it was secret. No one knew. I didn't even know that he was the anonymous donor until the year that he died, and my mom told me. I mean, no one knew except the priest and he and my mom. And he always he was always very supportive of a maternity home out in Western Pennsylvania called Mom's Home. And, we secretly joked about if we ever, won the lottery, we would open a maternity home. So I just grew up with that pro-life, overhead, so to speak, in the home. And so when I was here in New Jersey and, kind of still joking with God at this point, saying, okay, God, if I ever won the lottery, I'd still open that maternity home kind of thing. And then it all came about very strangely because I actually had a miscarriage. And during the miscarriage, I had, very strange event. I was considered dead for 7 minutes and the whole bit. But anyway, without going into that whole thing of what happened there, eventually I was invited to a meeting with Bill Klatt, and he had a couple people together, and they talked about the idea of a maternity home. And it kind of didn't go anywhere, and then at first. And then maybe a year and a half after that, I knew I was supposed to do something with pro-life, and I knew that, the timing of it kind of thing. And I actually applied for the Respect Life coordinator for the diocese, and I didn't get it. And I was like, that's weird, Lord. I really expected that that's what you wanted me to do. And then a couple days later, I get a call from Bill Klatt saying, will you be on the board for Good Counsel Homes? I was like, oh, okay, now I get you. So we started, I think that was in, I got the call in December, but then January of 2006. And we just, went full blazes, so to speak, and trying to find a site to open it and the fundraising, and did a lot of outreach, and went to I don't know how many different places. We're meeting with women who were considering abortion or who were being urged by their family members to have an abortion, and did a lot of outreach and counseling. And it's actually where I met Father Tim, because I had received a call, and it was a family who spoke Spanish, and I didn't speak Spanish, so and they were open to a priest coming along with me, and Father Tim was the only one I knew or heard of who spoke Spanish at the time, and he went with me on that trip, and that little boy is 9 years old now. But, amazing journey. And then we did, worked with Father Benedict Rochelle and getting the Good Counsel home open. And, that's in Riverside.
UGCFR.
Yes.
We have them now in Atlantic City.
Exactly. The sisters, and they're, opening the Father Benedict home, right? The house, not the home.
Yeah.
So God's been amazing, just kind of directing one step at a time, different ways. And then in 2013, I felt him say, okay, the home is running. It's everything is going well, and to walk away. And I heard his voice interiorly, in the heart, right? When I received communion on the Feast of Corpus Christi, and I just came back to my pew and I cried, because I was like, really, Lord, you want me to walk away now? And talked to my spiritual director, and he's like, Bren, he goes, St. John Bosco said that even if he had only one brick left to put in the building, when he was building orphanages, if God told him to walk away, he had to set the brick down and just walk away. And I said, yeah, but did he have a cell phone? Like, can I still stay in touch with a cell phone? And he just shook his head, as he often does when, we're talking. But, so then it was a year after that, the Father Tim, called me up about the Collegium Center. So it's just been, one thing after another. And God's amazing. I mean, I'm going to change the subject a little bit to the pilgrimages, that we have as well. But that whole, the way God leads, I was, again, talking with my spiritual director who had been to the Holy Land. And I was like, I don't need to travel. Like, I can just go to the chapel. I just never, ever dreamt of actually traveling anywhere. And he said, he goes, we're going to pray about that. And I'm like, all right, but, God's going to have to find the time, the money, the opportunity, all this stuff. And I just kind of laughed about it. And then 6 months later, I get an email out of the blue from someone I had never met, and no one I knew had ever met her before. And it was the president of Select International Tours, and inviting me to go on a come-see to the Holy Land. And I was like, no way. There's just no way. And it was during a time when I could go. It was only $1,200, so that was like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I emailed my spiritual director, and 3 days later I went in to see him, and I said, I feel so stupid emailing you. I know if it's too good to be true, it's not. He's like, Bryn, get over there and get your passport as soon as you leave my office. And he goes, you're going. And I said, yeah, but I don't know anybody. And I'm going to this foreign land. Like, I've never, I haven't flown in 26 years. Like, I don't know how to do this. I said, can we pray that someone else gets to go? And he's like, all right. He goes, we'll pray. And I said, pray that Lori Power can go. You know Lori, right?
Oh, yeah, good friend of the show, yeah.
Exactly. So we prayed that Lori could go, and I messaged her, and I said, Lori, if you had the opportunity to go to the Holy Land, would you take it? And she's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. Here, the president of Select emails me, and she said, she goes, you can bring some along to share the room. I'm like, yes, God, you're good. And so I messaged Lori back and said, so will you go to the Holy Land with me? She's like, get a call from her. What are you talking about? And so the two of us, that was in December. That was the end of December, and we went that February. So it was a very quick turn of events.
She does a lot in evangelization. We just had her talk about her role. Not only is she co-host here, Talking Saints with me,
right,
but she's director of, I think, what is it, Mike? Evangelization and outreach?
Yeah, with Father Chris Mann, another guest, famous guest of our show.
Yeah.
Just going back to the conversation about the pilgrimage, Pete, have you done an out-of-country pilgrimage yet?
No, unfortunately not.
Me either. Why is if Select Tours would like to get in touch with either of us about going on a tour at some point, we'd be happy with that too. But and our diocese provides a ton of tours, like several times a year, and for whatever reason, we have not availed ourselves of that. Although I know there's one in Germany coming up, I think next year. That I'm very interested in going. I'm going to Germany for vacation in the end of October, but I've heard about this other tour, and I'm very interested in going on. And I think we have a Holy Land tour. Yeah,
we're going to the. So in June of 2019, Father Tim and I are leading a tour to the Holy Land, and if you never go anywhere else in your life, I would suggest going to the Holy Land. I mean, we actually have Mass inside the tomb where Jesus.
Wow.
Was laid, right, where he rose from the dead, where he defeated death. I mean, all of salvation right there, and we get to have Mass right there. We're also having a holy hour in the Garden of Gethsemane.
Wow.
I mean, it's like unreal. And we also have fun. We actually get split up into groups. So Select International, they're the only ones who do this, but they split the pilgrims into groups of like 5, maybe 6 pilgrims, and you go and have dinner with families, Christians who are living in Bethlehem. Wow. So it's really amazing because you get to sit around the dinner table and with their family and share stories, and they tell you how it is living as a Christian there in the Holy Land. And it's really powerful. And it's funny because, we talk about, if you break bread with someone, your family, my brother in Christ. No, they really believe it. I mean, when you have dinner with them, they want to stay in touch because you're now family, and they take that, really seriously.
See,
So,
Pete, wouldn't that be a great pilgrimage to go on?
That would be amazing
fantastic.
to get in those footsteps.
I now know a number of people who have been to the Holy Land on pilgrimage. I know both Christians and Jews have gone to the Holy Land as on pilgrimages, and I always enjoy it because it's amazing how similar the pilgrimages are, simply because it's a very finite area. But even an old boss of mine, a Jewish woman who's fantastic woman. She was on pilgrimage, went to the River Jordan, and as part of her pilgrimage, there was a Christian element. It was a Jewish pilgrimage, but there was a Christian element to it. Came back with a bottle of blessed water from the Jordan, which I could not have been more happy that my Jewish boss gave me a very Catholic or Christian item. It was fantastic.
Wow. Do you still keep in touch with her?
Not as often as I like. Actually, I am remiss because it's been a bit too long since I've chatted with her recently, and I need to fix that because she's an awesome lady.
Wow.
So,
that is. I've heard so many experiences, like just transformative experiences, going to the Holy Land, going to other sites. So I think I need to remedy that soon.
Yes,
Yes.
Hopefully.
Do you have a passport, Pete?
I do. I
Yes.
do. Just in case I ever need it,
Well,
Or-
sounds like this is a good reason to go.
yeah, you could come and you could do a recording over there and save it for
That's
here. And
a Holy
That would
Land
be-
podcast, Pete. Come on,
I
that'd be
think
outstanding.
Talking Catholic in Jerusalem or Holy Land, that sounds wonderful. And how you have a website for how would people register for this pilgrimage? Where can they?
They can go to the Collegium Center, so THE, the Collegium, COLLEGIUM, Center, CENTER.org. And then just, the drop down for pilgrimages, and it has the registration form right there on the website.
And what other events are coming up more immediately in Haddon Heights?
Okay. Well, we actually have 2 pilgrimages, but as far as what's coming up soon is Father David Rivera is coming on October 19th at 7 o'clock. That's a Friday. And he's going to be speaking about the abolition of man. We've been on a C.S. Lewis kick for some reason. Some of our, several of our book studies have been different books by C.S. Lewis. So Father Rivera is coming and speaking on that, and just how, especially in this world today, how we need to be, people of courage and honor and integrity, right? So he's going to speak about that. And then the following week, on Thursday, October 25th, Father Nick Dudo is coming, and he's going to speak about discipleship, call, and commitment. So how are we really to live our lives and be disciples of Christ?
You know what I like about all of the things we've talked about the Collegium so far is almost everybody she's brought up has been a guest on the podcast.
I know. I'm just
very
thinking,
very excited about that. I think we're picking all really good people for the podcast. Maybe we need to think of the Collegium as a location for our 100th podcast. Maybe.
That would be a good
that
idea.
is, great minds think alike, Mike. I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yep, but I said it, so I get credit for it.
Darn it! You said fine. I should have been more vocal.
But no, I really do. I like that. I don't know if we're stealing from you or you're stealing from us, but that's great. But
That's all right. Work together.
Father Nick Duda was he was a great guest. He was just getting him to talk about his culinary background was outstanding. I purposely said it like that.
Did you say coupons?
I sometimes
Coupon. Oh gosh.
coupons. But
The bishop in Chicago, Coupon? No, Coupich.
Very similar.
Forgive me, Father, for I have
Punned.
That's we are all punners, Mike.
Yes, we are. Anyway, but no, that's great. I love that. And you mentioned there was another pilgrimage too?
There is. So in August, Father John Picnic and Father Sanjay Davis and I are leading a trip to Fatima and Lourdes and through Spain, right? We have to go through Spain to get from Fatima to Lourdes, and we'll have a few stops along the way. So that's going to be another fun trip.
That's really great. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, we have not had Father Sanjay. He works right down the hall from us.
Oh, really?
We need to get him on. He's great, but we have had Father Picnic on. So he's another.
Oh, that's right.
They're all
I forgot about that.
wonderful people.
Yeah.
And what do you see? You're about 4 years into this Collegium Center.
This is
do
our
you have
fourth
any
year.
And
goals.
What? But
any goals?
Any goals?
Yeah, any goals? Yeah, you answered. You figured out what I was going to say. Yeah. So.
I'm very much wherever God leads kind of thing. There's so much work to be done. We, like I was telling you earlier, we just started doing the apostolate of going out and evangelizing in the parks and at the mall and different places. So that's kind of where we are, what we're doing now. And we're starting, with more pilgrimages and things like that. We're taking a trip over to Malvern Sunday, the 7th, Sunday coming up. For the Catholic Tent Revival event is over there, and so we're just trying to get do more things like that outside of the actual building. A lot of the people who have been coming really love the studies that we've been doing. Ascension Press has incredible programs. Forum.org, they have great programs with Dr. Sri and Dr. Hahn and Father Mike Schmidt, right? And they love those because the discussions that go with the videos are just incredible. So they've been asking to do a lot of those, more of those, trying to do more Bible studies and really just continue the presentations, with our priests, trying to get them in, to do more of those. So.
That's great.
It's right on the corner of Garden and White Horse Pike?
And White Horse Pike,
Can't
right.
miss it.
301
Very easy to get
White
to.
Horse Pike, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people pass it because I don't know why they do, but it's kind of like
because it looks like a residence,
right?
But you now have that nice sign out front, which makes it much harder to just go past. But it looks like this lovely little home, and I don't know if that's what you were trying to curry with that space, but I like that as a concept.
Right. It's very much to make it more inviting, so people aren't afraid to come in. The other thing that's real popular is that we've been having our chocolate and wine nights with face sharing or rosary, and they've been really popular as well. So
chocolate and wine, can't go wrong with that.
Exactly.
I like it.
I was at the first one, and it was just the assortment of everything there, and it's just such a nice, warm, comforting space. Like I love it. Like I get there at 7. We don't leave till like after midnight sometimes.
Oh, I know.
The discussion can just go on and on, Mike.
Exactly.
It's really
that's when it's a quality of event and with quality people when time just seems to stop.
Exactly.
I love it.
You don't realize it 4 hours have passed.
Was that? I was going to say, is that the night of the snowstorm that you were at? Were you at that one?
I remember that. What? Say that. What happened?
Yeah,
there?
we had the snowstorm. We were really debating on whether we should cancel the event or not because everything around us was being canceled. And I said, well, I'll just go, and if anyone shows up, we'll just have it with whoever shows up. We had like 30 people there in a blizzard, drinking wine, chocolate, and great discussion. So yeah.
Yeah. When is your Christmas party? Is
Christmas party is December 27th, and that actually starts at 6 o'clock, and that is more of a potluck type of thing. We bring some main courses, and then other people bring sides, and there's always more food than what everyone could eat in a week, I think. And we have some games going on and some music going on and things like that, and it's fun.
You've had good musicians there too.
Exactly.
Natalie Acciani has been on
Natalie's
been
been
times.
there. Tommy Doyle, Jeff didn't do the Christmas party. No, he's done coffee houses. He hasn't done a
Jeff
Christmas
Shields,
party yet.
You've had just distinguished guests and musicians, and
I take it back. We can't do the podcast there. We're not good enough. I've decided we can't meet their bar. So we'll have to find two other podcast hosts to go. Okay. We'll definitely be the bottom rung of the historical guests.
Oh. There and so is there what? And not only keeps you busy. Are you still with chemistry? You still teaching?
I do. I still teach at Salem Community College. I have teaching mainly chemistry. So I was teaching biology and chemistry, but right now they have a very unique program for scientific glass blowers, and so we have students from all over the world who come because we're the only school that has a degree in scientific glass blowing, and so I teach chemistry to them, and it's fun. They're a lively group. They keep me on my toes.
That's something that I know. Mike loves science, and
I do love
stuff,
science,
and that is not that. I admit there's a blind spot there.
My sister was actually an apprentice glassblower too at Wheaton Village.
Really?
Yeah, she was. She seriously was looking to pursue becoming a glassblower for several years, and then things happened and she went off in a different direction. But she was there for probably about 2 years as an apprentice, just learning the trade. Yeah, I love Wheaton Village to see some of the stuff they're able to create. So I did not know about the program at Salem Community College. That's great.
Yeah, and they have the International Flame Working Conference that they put on every year, and they have it at our college, and it's quite incredible. The artwork that they do is amazing. My students are focused on scientific glass, glass for to run science labs, but there's also a glass art program there that is it's just incredible the things that they do. I have lots of Christmas ornaments and wine glasses that my students have made me and things like that. But it's pretty cool.
What's the flame working conference like? When you say flame work, I've never even heard that term before.
Flame working you need flame working to make the glassware.
Like molten item. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
So
Have you been to Wheaton Village, Pete?
Probably as a little kid.
Should go back as an adult. It's even more interesting as an adult when you can really be impressed by the artistry that goes into it, but also the science that goes into it. It's fascinating. I highly recommend it.
Well, it's always mesmerizing. I have to admit, when I watch it on TV, these people doing that, glass blowers, I'm just amazed because
actually the town I live in now, Glassboro, they had just commissioned a statue because Glassboro was a major glass manufacturing town many years ago. But in honor of that, Rowan University, I want to say the art department commissioned a statue made of a beautiful statue of this glass blower, and it's actually really well done. And it's a bronze statue, but at the very end is this sort of glowing orange glass bulb. Of this guy blowing a glass bulb, right. And it's beautiful. And actually, the reason it popped into my head is some of the college kids have been getting in trouble by taking selfies with it, by climbing up on the pedestal and taking selfies with the glass blower. But
I'm not surprised.
shockingly, college students doing that. I'm sure I would have as a college student as well. But it's this beautiful thing, and I think it's sort of forgotten nowadays. But South Jersey has a rich glass history, mostly because of the sand in South Jersey.
Right. I think Salem County too has that feel to it. I feel like there's a few. I remember Jim McBride and I, my colleague, who's been on the show. He's a photographer. He and I were driving one time, and he showed me this. There's like an old furnace that was during World War One or two. I think 100 years ago. It was an old brick furnace, and it's part of it is still there. Somewhat collapsed, but there's just something that history that.
Oh, South Jersey was very industrial. Was key to those the 1800s.
Yeah, all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty.
1700s. Yeah.
And do you guys, Brendan and Mike, what do you see? Can you talk a bit about is there a distinction between faith and science for you two? Like there's still so much debate, faith versus science, faith and science. What can you? I mean, I'm not sure myself. I'm not good with that.
Yeah, science is not true science if it's not revealing something that God has already, that God once revealed, basically. Science is not creating anything that God hasn't already created. I kind of see it as, and I forget who actually said this, but it is, my thoughts exactly. And God presents us with puzzles, and he's like, our cheerleader is, as scientists are figuring out the puzzle, and then we get it, and he's like, all right, that's great. Now here's another one. It's really just, a true scientist has to be, interacting with God to really, for things to work the way they should work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ethical questions and things like that where you can misuse science, but you're not going to discover anything that God himself didn't allow you to discover or create.
Yeah.
Right?
Me, I'm a science aficionado. My math skills are not good enough to be a scientist, but I appreciate science greatly. And the scientists I read, they all kind of say similar things in that the scientific practice is basically it gives you a glimpse into God, into the nature that he created, so that the results of scientific discovery for most people, I would say, don't need to make you question or won't force you to question God. If anything, they give you a greater appreciation for what God created and allow you to continue down those paths and go, okay, well, what's this little nuance? Why did this? I love scientific discovery. I think it's fantastic.
Right. I mean, when you look at, the laws of thermodynamics, and you say, things naturally fall apart. They don't naturally come together to form something so organized. Mm-hmm. And you look in a cell and you see, you look at the protein structures, holding the DNA together, and they're in the form of a cross. And it's just like, oh, how beautiful, Lord. Like, you write your message everywhere. It's just amazing. But it was Watson and Crick who discovered the structure of DNA, and Watson was an atheist, and he's the one who said, statistically speaking, 1 out of 10 to the 10th power, is something that is impossible. And yet, statistically speaking, putting a sequence of DNA together to code for one little protein is in the same range as 1 over 10 to the 57th power. He's like, there's no way that this could have happened just by chance. And he compared it to if you engraved a grain of sand microscopically, flew over the Sahara Desert, randomly dropped the grain of sand into the Sahara Desert, didn't tell anyone your flight plan, had them go into the Sahara Desert. The very first grain of sand they picked up is a grain of sand you dropped, and they would have to do it 3 times in a row without a mistake to have the same statistics as just a simple DNA strand to come together and make a simple protein. It's like, come on, how can that be chance?
Yeah. It's why so much of science is often considered miraculous, but it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
and
absolutely
that's just making
beautiful.
me want to go read one of my science books. 'Cause,
Which one are you working on now, Mike?
I'm still trying to fight my way through a Neil deGrasse Tyson book right now.
You know,
So-
I when I think of him, I think of you.
Oh,
So
thanks.
I mean, like you're just. I've heard of him, but you have seen him in person. It's pretty neat to
There's a
have
couple of
that passion.
I have a few other scientists whose books I have not started to read yet, and mostly that's because I spend too much time reading Twitter as opposed to proper books. But I really have to get into it. Basketball season can't come soon enough, so my son can, because that's when I do all my reading. I do my reading on vacation and on long flights, and when my son is practicing basketball. Otherwise, I can't seem to make myself read.
Are you sitting in the bleachers?
Yeah, I lay down on the bleachers while everyone else is practicing and dodge basketballs heading towards my head while I read astrophysics.
Man knocked out by basketball book of Neil deGrasse Tyson is next to him.
One day that probably will be the case.
You should get the hardback then, Mike.
Okay,
It might be able to help.
more defensible.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think we got to start wrapping up. But thank you very much for sitting with us today, Brenda. This was great.
Thank you so much, Mike.
love
Thank
it.
you,
This
Pete.
is again. What's your website again?
It's thecollegiumcenter.org.
And you're on Facebook, right?
And we are on Facebook, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. I follow you guys, and you're talking about every week. There's something going on, something fun. So you'll see
Exactly.
me there. Hopefully, Mike will get you there real soon.
I hope so. This is great. Thanks again,
Thank
and everybody,
you.
thanks for listening. And Pete, thanks for putting this together as always.
No, thank you, Mike. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, sir. Alrighty, thanks for listening, everybody.
Have a good night.